Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. My name is Bryan Sarpad. I'm the Manager of Sales Engineering here at phoenixNAP. I'm going to go over some predictions and strategies for how to protect from ransomware in 2020. Then I'm going to hand it over to Brandon McCoy, Cloud Sales Engineer from Veeam, to go over some of their solutions. And I'm going to start with a quick poll. I'll give about 30 seconds to answer each question. All right, just a couple more and then we'll get started. Thanks for answering, everybody. All right, let's get started. On your screen, you should have an area for questions, so feel free to ask any questions you might have, and we'll get to them at the end. So we'll start with a couple predictions for 2020. The most recent analyst report suggests that ransomware is going to remain a significant threat to businesses. The overall number of attacks is reported to have declined last year, but this is mainly because the attackers shifted from end users to businesses. This means that businesses and enterprise will continue to fight with this threat while ransomware will become more targeted, more specialized, and quite likely more efficient. Attackers more commonly use targeted manual attacks instead of the 1-2 punch of malvertising exploits, which is adding to their efficiency. It also requires new strategies of protection in businesses. 2018 saw a major shift in ransomware attack techniques. The shotgun approach was replaced with brute force, as witnessed in most of the successful SAM campaigns of that year. So as you can see here, ransomware is getting pretty expensive. It's hard to keep up with for most companies since they have limited security staff. By 2021, as you can see, $20 billion is the global expectation of cost to businesses. Most businesses with fewer than 1,000 employees are going to get attacked. It's just a matter of fact. And most businesses are going to lose revenue as well. So how do you actually protect against ransomware? So first and foremost is going to be endpoint protection through antivirus, anti-malware. If you don't have something, you're going to definitely need something a little bit more strong than Windows Defender. phoenixNAP has some solutions that include Sophos endpoint protection. You're going to need to educate your employees. Are you guys conducting external phishing tests, trying to test your employees' security readiness? System monitoring and alerting. So do you have something in place that's ingesting logs and alerting your staff to actually respond to these threats? How do you actually protect your network? So network segmentation. If you're virtualized, microsegmentation, setting up ACLs around each individual application and service, great place to start. Making sure you're actually monitoring all the logs from your actual network appliances, firewalls, routers, anything on the actual operating system itself. And by doing that, you're going to want to ingest it into something like a SIEM. We actually have partnered up with AlertLogic and have a cloud offering that includes AlertLogic monitoring and response. Protection. So are you guys backing up everything? What's your retention policy? Are you just retaining a few retention points, or are you doing a more robust strategy like a grandfather, father, son strategy where you're including months of backups? Disaster recovery. So what happens during an attack? How easy is it for you to recover? What's your recovery time objective? What's your recovery point objective? All very important things to think about. So DR is key to protecting everything. Most businesses can't afford more than a day or two of downtime. You have staff that's going to be out of work, not being able to do their core job functions if your systems are offline. You might be threatened with an actual ransom to get your information back, and do you have enough money to pay that ransom? Or do you have a backup plan so you don't have to actually pay that ransom? Cloud-based DR, so we'll talk about some of the benefits for that in just a minute. So traditional DR would require you getting a secondary colo site, and got another slide that's going to go into that a little bit deeper. But cloud DR is the ability to really get the advantages of a traditional deployment with much lower cost. Also, do you have global sites that are connecting back? Can you recover your data to a site that's nearest your employees? And how easy is it to get recent data? If you do recover your data, are you talking about a backup that's 2 or 3 days old, or is your recovery point objective more recent, say down in the hour to 15-minute range? So traditional versus cloud DR, you're going to have to get colocation, you're going to have to get a bunch of additional hardware. Most of it's going to be duplicate, and you're not going to even need it until you actually have a disaster event. If you're a large company, that might make sense, but for most companies that don't have that kind of budget, cloud DR is actually a much more logical choice. You can pay a monthly fee and get all the resources you need and do all your annual testing without the traditional cost of buying a bunch of redundant equipment. And we have some solutions that speak to that, and I'll go over that closer to the end of the slide deck. So our core offering with Veeam is a Cloud Connect based offering. So you would install Veeam on-prem in your environment and do either offsite backup copy jobs to our data repositories. We have 4 backup locations across the globe, and we have 3 DR locations: Phoenix, Ashburn, Virginia for backup, Atlanta, Georgia, and Amsterdam, Netherlands for DR. So we're primarily a vSphere shop. If you have Hyper-V, we can support your backups, but we're not handling that for replication right now. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Brandon. He can speak a little bit more about their solution, and all right, take it from there.
Thanks, Brian. And let me grab the keyboard and mouse control here. All right. So, in terms of ransomware and how Veeam can help you as well as with phoenixNAP, first of all, how do you know that you have a good copy, right? So assume we're using the Veeam software. We have multiple copies of our backups. We're trying to follow best practices. Ransomware hits, and it locks up your production machine. You want to, go to the last backup and, of course, do that restore. But before you do that restore, you might want to create what we call an on-demand sandbox. So what this is going to do is this is going to isolate the network where you restore these machines to, so that it will be in an isolated network with different port group. We're able to take those machines, restore them directly from the backup file. So we're not actually fully rehydrating these VMs. They are NFS mounts that are coming directly from the repository. And we're able to do some basic testing with that sandbox. We're able to do some application tests, some ping tests, as well as VMware Tools heartbeat test or a Hyper-V integration test, and then let you know that those backups were successful. You also have some additional options with the newest features in terms of running an antivirus scan on those backups in this isolated environment before you do that restore. And you can see here that we also can leverage snapshots from storage vendors to do that as well, in case your traditional backups may be compromised, or maybe you just want to do the sandboxing on the storage SAN itself. So with these storage snapshots, you're taking your maybe hourly snaps on the SAN array itself, maybe your NetApp, your Nimble, your 3PAR. And Veeam with VMware has some specific integrations with these SAN devices that will allow you to both back up from storage snapshots, recover from storage snapshots, and you have a lot of granular options, as you can see here, whether that's restoring a file, restoring an email into a mailbox, rolling back SQL tables. So lots of options there, more than just restoring a whole VM and more than just blindly restoring something before you test it out to make sure that it's not infected as well. So you have options, like I mentioned. Now, if the whole machine is infected, of course, you're going to need to find a different restore point to restore that machine from. But maybe you want to do some of that granular recovery of the database items, the files, and again, from storage snapshots or directly from the backups or the offsite backups that you have at the phoenixNAP location. You're going to be able to recover those files in a variety of different ways, not just the whole machine. And also knowing that you're protected. So, that is more, the last slide was more of a reactive, some ransomware has attacked, and now we need to react and see how we can recover. But also from a proactive perspective, Veeam One is a powerful monitoring and reporting tool that Veeam offers, and it allows you to have all kinds of alarms, notifications, customizable daily reports, and some of those are around ransomware protection, looking at high writes on data stores, looking at heavy CPU spikes at specific times of the day, which could be a possible sign of intrusion. And then, of course, just other reports in terms of knowing that you have enough copies of your backup and knowing that you have backups in different locations and that your recovery point objectives satisfy your specific SLAs. So that's it for me, and I'm going to pass it back over to Bryan. Thanks.
Thanks, Brandon. And I'll conclude with a couple reasons why you want to work with phoenixNAP. We've got a track record in this. We've been working with Veeam for about 5 or 6 years. We sit on their advisory council, so we help them with feature requests from our clients. We have, like you can see, 15 data centers, 6 global network POPs, and as I mentioned previously, 3 locations for DR and 4 locations for backups. We have engineers on staff that have been working with Veeam for many years, and so when you have questions and you run into challenges, we're here to support you. We also include with DR 1 free backup test a year, and you can fail over to us for 7 days with no additional charge. So please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to do a demo for you or discuss pricing or just help you develop a DR strategy in general. And so here are all of our data center locations. We have quite the reach. Yep, so stuff already covered, but we also, I guess I didn't mention this, we also do managed backup for Office 365, covering Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive, which is pretty important these days. We as an organization just switched over to Office 365, so Microsoft doesn't include any long-term retention for backups with their service, or if you have an employee that's left, that's not going to get backed up. So it's always good to have a safety net there just in case. And we have a highly secure multi-tenant VMware-based cloud that's SOC audited and PCI DSS validated. So please feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to discuss our solutions and arrange a demo if you'd like. Oh, we also have a pretty robust client portal that allows you to allocate additional storage resources for your Veeam repository quotas. So it's a self-service portal, which, you know, if you're running a lot of backups and find yourself outgrowing your offsite backup space, in a pinch, you can log into our portal and increase that and manage all your repositories. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Oh, self-service portal for managed backup for Office 365. So no, right now that's not going to be a self-service portal. The Office 365 system is, we work with you to create a trusted account in your organization, and we would set up the actual backup jobs. You could, however, if you already own Veeam for Office 365, just use us as an offsite repository if you wish to manage that yourself. And let's see here. Do we charge a per VM fee with Cloud Connect or just a flat per terabyte fee? So for Cloud Connect disaster recovery, it is going to be a per VM charge plus a per terabyte charge for the storage. Does anybody else have any questions? All right, well, thank you everybody for joining and hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Yep, have a good one, guys.